Well, I have our boxing correspondent, Mike Costello, on the phone now. Mike, good morning to you. Sad loss, as I say, to the boxing world. Just trying to put it into perspective, how good was he?
Well, he was around in the mid-70s, which is regarded as the glorious era of heavyweight boxing, and he was a hugely significant player in that era. A very courageous man, one of the bravest boxers ever to lace on a glove, but with no little talent to match that courage. He was the first man ever to beat Muhammad Ali, and he's best remembered for his trilogy of fights against Ali. The first of them was in 1971 at Madison Square Garden in New York. It was billed the fight of the century because it was the first ever heavyweight title fight between two undefeated champions, a fight so big that Frank Sinatra worked as a ringside photographer for Life magazine. Burt Lancaster did the television commentary for international audiences totaling 300 million around the world on closed circuit screens in theatres and other venues. And Frazier won that night, the most famous night of his career. He would go on to lose twice to Muhammad Ali. He lost twice also to George Foreman, but only Ali and George Foreman ever beat Joe Frazier. And as I say, he played a hugely significant role in the glorious era of heavyweight boxing.
Yes, you mentioned those three men. They dominated that world of boxing, all with different styles. Joe Frazier, a real scrapper.
Yes, he was. His signature punch was a left hook, which he floored Muhammad Ali with at the start of the 15th and final round of their contest, and it really sealed his victory. And he was born of tough stock in South Carolina as a young lad. Long before school age, he was working on the farms, and he was a bit of a rascal, and had a showdown one day with a hog and came away with a badly busted left arm. The family at that stage couldn't provide medical treatment, couldn't afford medical treatment, so he had to allow the arm to mend unaided, and it remained permanently crooked, which was perfectly shaped for the left hook, which became his signature punch and caused so much destruction through the heavyweight division while he was around from 1965 through till the end of 1976, his peak years.
Well, Mike, as you said, he'll be remembered for those three fights against Muhammad Ali. They had a rather, I suppose, fractious relationship. I suppose they really didn't understand each other when they were fighting each other.
No, they didn't. And you mentioned that the fighters of that era had different styles, and that's what made it so attractive. And part of the attraction of the fights between Ali and Frazier was the difference in personalities too. The promoters in boxing always say that the best kind of poster, the most powerful kind of poster, is the one that has good guy, bad guy on it. And Muhammad Ali was very happy to play the bad guy with some terrible insults, really, that he came to regret in later life and apologised for, but which Joe Frazier wasn't always ready to accept. But Joe Frazier very much painted as the good guy, but many of the men who fought him would say otherwise, because he was so tough and so brave, he hit so hard and never ever gave up. And I think the night that he beat Muhammad Ali at Madison Square Garden in 1971 was the highlight of his career. It was a performance that would have beaten most heavyweights in history.
Mike Costello, thank you very much indeed, paying tribute to Joe Frazier, who died very sadly in the early hours this morning, aged 67.